motive
I'm gonna pull out a goddamn shotgun and blow your damn head off!
that drove these young men to murder,
I'll rip off your goddamn head!
and whether warning signs were missed.
When you start putting all these pieces together to the puzzle, then you're saying, boy, there's a red flag.
The questions and answers. The story behind the Columbine massacre on the final report. April the 20th, 1999. Jefferson County, Colorado. 11:10 a.m. A typical morning at Columbine High. About 2,000 students attend the school near the affluent Denver suburb of Littleton. 16-year-old Marjorie Lindholm is about to take a science test.
It was an average morning. Everything was fine. I had a big test I was kind of nervous about, and I was supposed to kind of meet a boy that day who I had a crush on.
Some students are headed for lunch. This footage from a CCTV camera shows the cafeteria slowly filling up. Within minutes, there will be 500 people in the canteen. 11:14 a.m. No one notices when someone leaves 2 duffel bags on the floor. 11:19 a.m. Outside the school's west entrance, 17-year-olds Richard Castaldo and Rachel Scott are eating lunch. As they talk, a pipe bomb lands a few feet from where they are sitting.
I didn't really realize it was supposed to be a bomb at first. I kind of thought it was like a thing of fireworks or something like that. It didn't do anything at all. I didn't really think much of it.
Then, about 60 feet away, Castaldo sees 2 male teenagers dressed in long black trench coats. Without warning, they pull out guns from under their coats. One of them has a rifle and a sawn-off shotgun. The other has a sawn-off shotgun and a semi-automatic handgun. Their actions raise the first of many questions asked by the final report. How were teenagers able to obtain such weapons?
And then they just, started shooting. And I didn't really have any time to react at all,
Rachel Scott is shot 4 times and dies instantly. Castaldo is shot 8 times, the bullet shattering 2 vertebrae. He begins to lose feeling in his legs.
Felt my feet going numb and my legs going numb. Kind of seemed like it was going from like the top up.
Who are the gunmen? While Castaldo lies motionless in the grass, 3 other students walk out of a cafeteria door. One of the gunmen aims and fires. He hits all 3. The pair then shoot 2 more students as they run for cover. How did the gunman learn to shoot with such accuracy? In the classroom, students begin to realize what is happening.
We were taking the test, and then we heard what we thought were rocks being thrown against the window. And then we heard a bunch of screaming.
In the main office, a secretary alerts the head, Frank DeAngelis.
And my secretary ran into my office and said that there had been gunshots fired. And so I ran out of my office into the hallway.
At 11:23, one of the students calls 911.
Someone's shooting a gun out here and someone got shot, I think. Okay. Can you see anything going on over there? No, some girl's on the ground saying she's paralyzed and I think she's hurt.
Police issue a citywide call for help. 1,000 officers in the area race towards the school. The gunmen now turn and head towards this entrance, firing shots into the school and littering their path with pipe bombs. Where did the gunmen get these bombs? Just inside the west entrance is teacher Patty Nielsen. She recognizes the approaching gunmen as students at the school. Immediately she turns and runs towards the library. 11:24 a.m. A Jefferson County Sheriff's deputy is first on the scene. He exchanges gunfire with one of the gunmen, but no one is hit. The head, Frank DeAngelis, is standing at the opposite end of the hall as the two enter the school.
That's where I saw the gunman enter, and that's where the shots were being fired, and then the glass was breaking behind me.
On the lower level of the school, the cafeteria camera shows 42-year-old teacher Dave Sanders warning students to get out. Some escape up a nearby staircase. Upstairs, 17-year-old Patrick Ireland and two friends are in the library.
We're just hanging out, and all of a sudden a teacher ran in to the library, screaming and yelling, saying there's two kids with guns out in the hallway.
At 11:25 a.m., teacher Patty Nielsen enters the library. She grabs the phone and dials 911.
I'm a teacher at Columbine High School. There is a student here with a gun, and the school is in a panic, and I'm in the library. I've got students down under the table, kids! Heads under the table! We need police here. Okay.
By now, the gunmen are inside the main hallway. Teacher Dave Sanders has just made his way up from the cafeteria and is at the end of the hall. The gunmen see Sanders and fire. He falls to the floor. Sanders is dragged into a nearby classroom where a group of terrified students is hiding. One of them is 16-year-old Marjorie Lindholm.
Two teachers helped him into the room. He had one arm over each, and he half walked and half was dragged in, and he just kind of collapsed. He had been shot twice, and he had been bleeding very, very badly.
At 11:29 a.m., the gunmen enter the library. 52 students, 2 teachers, and 2 library assistants are hiding under the tables. Among them is 16-year-old Craig Scott, the younger brother of Rachel Scott, who was shot and killed near the west entrance.
Immediately they were shooting off their guns, and they were yelling at everybody in the room. One of them said to the other, "Get anybody with a white hat on." And a lot of jocks wore white baseball caps, and I was wearing one. So I took it off and I put it underneath my shirt.
For the next 7 minutes, the two walk through the library, firing. Their methodical actions raise the question, what is their plan? Patrick Ireland and 2 friends are hiding under a table in the corner of the library.
When we got to our section, we all had our heads down in between our knees, basically.
One gunman shoots Patrick's friend in the knee. As Patrick reaches over to help him, his head momentarily appears from beneath the table.
And that's when I got shot. Got shot twice in the head and once in the foot.
Patrick loses consciousness. Craig Scott is under another table with 2 friends, 18-year-old Isaiah Scholes and 16-year-old Matt Kechter.
After a little while, they came over and they saw my friend Isaiah, and they began to make fun of him for being black. And then they shot Isaiah, and then they shot Matt. And the whole time I just pretended to be dead.
At 11:36 a.m., the gunmen leave the library and head down the hall towards the science classroom. Minutes later, about 30 students escape through an emergency exit door. Pulling up outside the school are the police and emergency services. Their priority is to stop the rampage and rescue the students inside. Coming up next on The Final Report. April the 20th, 1999, 11:40 a.m. Police and emergency services from all over Denver, Colorado are racing to Columbine High School.
Jefferson County is getting shots fired at officers. 2 males in trench coats have shotguns and possible grenades.
Among the responding officers is Dan Delmonico, a member of the Denver Police Department SWAT team. The information coming in over the radio is alarming.
It was a military type assault on the school.
that they may have explosives and automatic weapons.
As police arrive, the gunmen make their way to the cafeteria. 11:44 a.m. This CCTV footage shows one of the gunmen firing at the duffel bags he and his partner left earlier. Eventually, one ignites, starting a fire. The fire activates the sprinklers and a fire alarm a few minutes later. Students who'd been hiding under tables now run for their lives. Outside, a student provides police with a vital piece of information. He's identified one of the gunmen as a Columbine pupil, 18-year-old Eric Harris. A computer check reveals that Eric Harris has a police record. His file contains the name of 17-year-old Dylan Klebold, also a Columbine pupil. The pair had been arrested in January 1998 for breaking into a van.
I took one of my chief deputies and we got in my car and we drove to Columbine High School. And I actually went with identifying information for Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold.
Other students confirm that Dylan Klebold is the second gunman. 12:02 p.m. Outside the school, police hear gunfire coming from the library. On the east side of the building, SWAT officers divide into teams. They will enter the school at various locations and move towards the gunfire.
In an active shooter situation, you go to the noise, you go to the shooter, you neutralize them whatever way you have to, and it's over.
At 12:06 p.m., a SWAT team enters the east side of the building. Another SWAT team makes its way to the west side of the school. They move slowly, using a fire engine as a shield. 12:34 p.m. Outside, near the west entrance, 17-year-old Richard Castaldo is at last rescued. He's been lying in the grass for more than an hour, having been shot 8 times.
And it just took me over to like a fire truck there too or something, I remember. I mean, I guess I knew I was okay then, you know, that I was actually gonna live at that point.
At 1:09 p.m., one of the SWAT teams enters the school through a ground floor window near the cafeteria.
We were standing in about a foot deep of water, and the noise of the fire alarm continuously going on. It was very loud. It was tough to communicate with the officers.
Police find roughly 30 students hiding in the school kitchen. The SWAT team rushed them out of the same ground floor window they had entered. All the students are ordered to keep their hands on their heads and are frisked before being allowed to leave.
We'd gotten information that the suspects were changing clothes and trying to blend in with the students. That's why you see the kids with their hands on their head, because we don't know who we have.
1:45 p.m. In the science classroom, teacher Dave Sanders clings to life. Students put a sign up in the window. Marjorie Lindholm can't believe help hasn't yet arrived. It has already been 2 hours.
I wondered what was taking so long because the 911 operator made it sound like they were around the corner every time we asked where are they.
Why does it take so long for help to arrive? As the SWAT teams slowly move through the school, they discover hundreds of pupils and teachers barricaded inside classrooms.
As you moved into hallways, you would find locked doors. As we would breach these doors and enter these rooms, and you found people hiding.
When we would come across them, it would take us a little bit of time to convince them that, no, we're not the bad guys, we're the cops.
After being